So, good evening guys, and welcome to OTL Season 4. It's round 15, and tonight we head to Belgium. A track I don't like very much. It is no secret to anybody that knows me, I do not get on well at all, although people will say, oh, you don't get on with many circuits. But on to this evening, the guys in OTL I'm sure will put on a hell of a show. Good evening Rob, Nick, Jock and Mick, welcome, welcome. Let's get a little rundown of exactly what's happening in the championship, as we like to do every Monday evening. So let's get standings up. So Mike leading the way on 341 points. Then we've got Nude Potato in P2 on 279. Mr. Rage in P3 on 268. So only 11 points split in P2 and 3. Then we've got Mikey in P4 on 212, Ryan Sam P5 on 209, Nelly P6 making good gains now in 204, Rob Wills P7 on 199, then Chubby Slug P8 on 190, ENTXJ P9 on 164, Chris Taps P10 on 157, Nick P11 on 116, Connor Kid P12 on 108, F Lewis P13 on 108, then we've got SPW on 99, Ranger in 88 and P15, P16 we have Shiv on 88 also, then P17 is Mick on 87, then Scammer P18 on 77, Pedro P19 on 76, and Fingers P20 on 69. Adam still leading the way in that Reserves Championship, he's on 60 points, Jock on 20, Schlee, Michelando and Mitch all on 12, then Nadine on 9 and Merco on 8. So that is the rundown of the championship. McLaren leading the way. They managed to stitch out a 26 point advantage in the Constructors' Championship last week. And of course Red Bull a man down again, so they'll be hoping to get a driver that will keep them in the fight. Then we've got Mercedes in P3 on 363. They're only 19 points ahead of Williams, so 26 point gap for P1 and a 19 point gap for P3. Merco says, Adam, if you're watching the stream, Merco has asked if there's space to race. Merco has reserved points in here. Merco 6996, if you're looking for a last driver to fill that slot. If you are listening, there is one for you. We've got Alpine P5 in the Constructors on 306, Alpha Tauri P6 on 292, Alfa Romeo P7 on 279, Ferrari P8 on 238. Aston Martin P9 on 229, and then Haas in P10 on 165. So that is our championships order. So I'll say to Adam, oh, is Merkel in? We may be full. Oh yeah, we're full. Unfortunately, Merkel, if you're watching on the stream, we are full. Don't think there is. Think I'm joining you. Oh, are we going to have Adam alongside us this evening? Ah, fair. So Adam is not joining me, he can race. So, I'm on me lonesome. Let's get back onto the stream and see exactly what's happening. Favourite going into the night? I don't know, it's been a long time since evening Chris. Good evening Pedro. Chris, read our chat with a little speech bubble. Skarma, good evening Rob, good evening Kristaps and Jock. I think we're full, Jock. We are absolutely full this evening, unfortunately, mate. Reserve slots come thinly in OTL. Good luck to everybody. Don't drop the car through Radeon in Eau Rouge, or Eau Rouge in Radeon, I should say. And a couple other corners to be aware of. Puon, the inside corner at Puon is always going to be dangerous. And then the inside second part of the Fajnes chicane, or whatever you call it. So, oh, I just disliked the video because I'm a dick. Only the crap tracks have space. That's it. Good morning, Michael. I hope you are well. The championship leader. Good evening, Ethan. I've never seen your name sneaking in there. So a nice full grid for Spa this evening, which is always good to see. And I'd be interested in terms of lap time. I'd like to say mid to low 42s. I think that could be right. I don't know. Adam says he's scared. He should be. Eau Rouge is quite a... I just don't go on with the circuit at all. It's not one that... Nick, why do you do that? No, Nick. Nick. Why did you do that? Now there's no excitement for me, Nick. Damn. What a Chad. So, wet race, Spa in the wet, that's never going to be fun. So I'm surprised that anybody's even come out in the mediums. I don't know why you would not just commit to 3 soft ones. You're good, Nick, you're good. And that'll be Pedro away to get himself a wet setup. F. Lewis also away for a wet setup, so I don't think guys have managed to get their wet setups in. Let me just go blue screen for a little minute, just adjust the audio just a little bit. So, just relaying some information. So guys, having a little bit of a moment, Chubby Slick, I'm not quite sure what he's done now. People leaving for setup should not be allowed. Why? Drivers can get out the car while they change things in qualifying before the first run. I would say as long as they've not went in a run, they're not locked into pal firm, so I think that's okay, in my opinion. So, do we have anybody on a lap? Yes, we do. Kristaps coming up. Radion. Then into turn 4, but it's really the second corner. And I'd love to talk you through a really good lap here, but I don't really know what is a good lap. I know you should be definitely being very aggressive on entry. It's a track that suits an aggressive driving style. I think somebody like SPW should do pretty well this evening. Nick has also left the session. So I'm not sure if Kristaps is a lead man at the moment. ENTXJ might be further up the road on a medium compound. But is Mike a lead driver here? No, he is not. So let's go back to ENTXJ. He is on a lap. He's coming up towards Blanchimont and the last chicane, the bus stop chicane. Through bus stop he comes now, so Jay's going to set the pace in the session, and he will set a 1:44.2 on the medium tile. Let's filter down because I think it was Kristaps coming up next. He goes on a 43.6. He puts roughly the delta gap between himself and ENTXJ is around 6.5 to 7 tenths on the delta. Let's get on board with SPW. He's coming up towards bus stop chicane himself. On the soft compounds, a full commitment. Mike now sets the pace in a 43.2, he puts 4 tenths on Kristaps. SBW out the last corner, and I think it's going to be pretty competitive as well. SBW goes on to the second row of the grid, a 43.3, and only a few tenths away from Mike, so you'll maybe see the pace being a little bit down because, of course, people will be looking to the wet setups. Bear with me 1 second, chat. My cat is trying to scale my window. So, let's go to Matty. So Matty into the last couple of corners. I think Matty is reserving this evening. I wonder if Matty is joining us or just reserving. Anyway, DRS open, bit of D rating at the line, and he's going to do a 43.334 in his splits. Mike and SPW now looking very, very competitive at the top of the grid so far. How is Nelly getting on? Nelly was looking good, he's lighting up the sectors. Good evening everybody, I hope you're all very, very well. So how is Nelly getting on in Rysam? Out, he has dropped it at the start of sector 3. And Nelly coming up to bus stop, and he's pretty much on par, I think, for a .43.0 and puts the car onto pole position. So Nelly setting the pace so far, and we know Nelly goes well at Spa. How is Dixie getting on? And Matty gets well out of the way there. Coming through the second chicane. And F. Lewis retires from the session, so of course F. Lewis serving that quali ban. So where does Dixie put the car? If he could get somewhere close to maybe Kristaps, I think he'd be reasonably happy. So Dixie does a 44.8 in his soft compound tyre. A few tenths away from Matterman at the moment. Connor Kidd coming up through Radion at the moment. And we will go on board with the Alpha Tauri man and reserving again. And Connor not reserving on a sprint, that is insanity. 30.3 sector 1, so looking pretty competitive. How aggressive is he being on the curbs? Nice and tidy, very close to an invalidation there, but keeps it just within the limits. Ian TXJ doing well there to get well out of the way. And then up towards Puyon for Connor. How much commitment can he take? Just a small squeeze of the brake, he stays in seventh gear. You can actually get away with just even less braking than that. So, up towards Blanche when he comes, you've got some traffic ahead, but I think they'll be well clear of the last couple of corners before he gets there. And then we've got an Aston Martin firing up his rear, but that Aston is just on an outlap at the moment, so he shouldn't cause him too many issues. He finds he's braking down into the bus stop, staying well away from the curbs, not to unsettle the car. Gets a very, very nice exit on the power, and Connor Kidd goes on to pole position by just over 1/10 of a second from Nelly. Does in the first man into the 42s. But our driver's compensating a little bit on the setups for the wet conditions ahead. Nick looking mighty committed there. His new potato now does a 42.8 and puts another half a tenth on Connor Kidd. So, oh, Nick's touched the inside curb of the chicane, and that will turn the car round. And this is one of the hardest parts of Spa. This is why I don't like the track. The curbs, for some reason, just do not like to be used at all. Rob Wills now into bus stop. Where can he slot that McLaren? DRS open, to the line he goes, and it's going to be a 43.4. He goes to P7, and again that middle of the grid looking very, very competitive as always on a Monday evening. I think Shiv is on a second run here, so we'll see exactly how Shiv gets on. He done a 45.5 first lap. It's going to be a massive improvement here. He does a 44.1, finds a second and a half, puts himself into P9 and right alongside his teammate. So Ferrari looking strong this evening. And who was that just improved? Somebody improved and I did not see it. Was it Skarma? Yes it was. Skarma goes to a 43.8, slots himself into P9. SPW's not on a lap, so he was Mike getting on a championship leader. He was very committed on the curbs there. And the commitment through Poo on there for Mike was tremendous. Not even any use of the brakes, just a lift. Using the curbs nicely to get the car to rotate. He just had to be a little bit careful there. That inside curb tried to under rotate the car, but he just balanced his throttle nicely to get the car round in half a second up. Mike on an absolute stonker here, a mid 42 inbound, and this is more like I thought the pace would be this session. But Mike's going to derate a little bit down this back straight, so he will lose a little bit of time from his PB. Oh, and he runs out of fuel. He was well up as well, and that will be it over. He's going to have to go into the pits. So Mike knows he's got the pace now, and he's got a couple of tenths to Con. Nick well up here, so let's see where Nick goes. He's coming towards the line, of course, second run in the tyre, and it's a 42.6 for Nick, so he was looking very, very close to the time that Mike was about to set as well until they run out of fuel. So interesting stuff ahead. Chris Tips on an invalidated run. Skarma and Shiv both going into the pits. Chubby Slug a second and a half up, so Chubby Slug threatening the 42s as well. So Mataman opens the DRS and he goes a 42.649 and only 1/100th of a second away from Nick at the moment. And man, Mataman's in some fine form as it stands. Fingers through the bus stop chicane. Somebody one of the last men to settle up, and it'll be a 45.2 slot into P16. Mix on an invalidated run. How is Dixie getting on? He's a couple of tenths up. Let's see, Dex, he's got a sector split coming up just after the next corner, so we'll get an idea. And he is half a second up, so low 43s, 44 inbound for Dixie. If he's got any more time through the last couple of corners, he can maybe squeeze the 43 out the car. So into bus stop, the last chicane, tucks up nicely to the apex and he goes straight to the pits. That's interesting there for Dixie, maybe he's wanting a fresh set of boots on. And Pedro only committing to one run in the session. This is an interesting tactic. So Pedro and Rage, the only two to set a lap. I think Rage may be starting nearer the back though, because he's doing his Ramadan. I don't think he can, I do not think he's able to set a lap this evening. So that's going to be interesting to see just how Rage gets through from the back of the grid. And Chubby, Slug and Nick, they've had enough for the session. Nude Potato on a hot lap. He's the man in P3 at the moment, so we will watch with him. Oh, and he picks up an invalidation, and that's going to be the lap over for Con at the moment. And has he got enough time to get round and get another lap in? He may just, if he's quick enough. As Rob Wills comes out the first corner, he's the next man to open a lap. Oh no, we have Pedro actually. Let's see Pedro. He's ahead of Greenfingers and Dixie is out. He's had enough for the evening. It's a 44.8 for Dixie. So how is Pedro getting on? As he comes into the guts of the lap in sector 2. I think he is one of our lead men on a lap at the moment. Oh, the rest are further behind. I hope everybody as well that has joined us this evening. Don't forget to drop a little thumbs up in the video as Pedro drops the car at Puyon, so he touches that inside curb. And that whips the car round very, very quickly. We've got a Red Bull coming through the last chicane. Is that Matty? Or maybe actually Nude Potato? Yes it is, but of course he was invalidated that first one, so he will get another crack at it, Wilcon. He did have the lap time. And who do we have next? Is it Rob Wills? Yes it is. So Rob Wills coming up the back straight now towards Blanchimont and bus stop. He was a couple of tenths up in his middle sector. It was a PB, so he's looking to find some time. A few tenths, of course, will launch Rob. He could threaten the top 6 here. Could he get close to his teammate, the other McLaren man and our championship leader, Mike? He looks nice and tidy through bus stop for his final and last time. He'll get the DRS up and straight to the line he goes, and he does go alongside his teammate by only 8 1/1000ths of a second. He misses out. It's a 43.1 for Rob, so we'll filter back through because it's an Aston Martin. I think it's Scammer. We'll get to him. He's coming through the last chicane now, and I think it's Mike at the moment. They're seeing into the pits. I think it is over for Mike, and Scammer now goes to P8. Marty now coming down towards the last corner. I think it's Kristaps or Shiv just ahead, so I'll watch for any improvements from them two. It's not Kristaps, it was Shiv. He doesn't improve. Marty now puts himself into the top 6. It's a 42.9. Oh, and Con's round, so Con's not going to improve. So where's Connor Kid? Is Connor Kid up any? No, he has a weave. It's all over. SPW a little bit up. He's coming to the sector 2 split now, so let's see. SPW half a second up, and SPW could put himself onto the second row of the grid here, and if he can find some time through the last couple of corners, could we see a short pull from SPW? Through Blanchimont he goes, easy flat, so one braking zone to pick now, and it's into bus stop he goes. He picks his braking nice and late, 90 metres, tugs it up nicely to the chicane. He gets a little bit understeer mid-corner there, but gets on the throttle. And can he challenge the front row? He does not. He goes to P3. It's a 42.7. Still a very, very good lap. He's a 10th away from pole, and that'll be it over. Nick on pole position. Chubby Slug P2, SPW 3, Nude Potato P4, Connor Kid P5, Nelly 6, Matty 7, Mike P8, Rob Wills P9, Skarma 10, Kristaps 11, Shiv P12, Mick 13, J14, Dixie 15, Finger 16, Mr. Rage, Pedro, F. Lewis and Ryan Sam, all the guys there not setting a lap. F. Lewis of course setting a quality ban. Ryan Sam had that DNF. So Nick on pole position, but very, very competitive. Only 2 tenths separating our top 6 and half a second between our top 10 drivers. This is absolutely on. Of course, conditions will come and change it up even more. So interesting times ahead. So there is the rain. It's going to be many laps of pain there for a few, I think. You just got to try and keep your head down. See if I'm getting comments, but I do not see them. Ooh. It's a tough one, Nelly. I always just go +1, man. It's probably wet, you can feel under the car, but probably like I'm +1 for races, like probably 0.8 or something will be fine. Honestly. So formation lap. Yeah, definitely. Better safe than sorry, Mr. Nelly. So in row 1 for round 15 it'll be Nick and Chubby Slug. Row 2, SPW and Nude Potato. Row 3, Connor and Nelly. Row 4, Matty and Mike. Row 5, Rob and Skarma. Row 6, Kristaps and Shiv. Row 7, Mick and ENTXJ. Row 8, Dixie and Fingers. Row 9, Rage and Pedro. And row 10, F. Lewis and Ryan Sam. A shorty tyre, but they will of course all be on the same compound. So wet tyres for every day. And an interesting race ahead for all. Something happened there between Rage and Shiv, I'm unsure. And I was hoping for an action-packed spa, but I think the wet driving might cause a bit of a stalemate. But let's hope. We know the OTL guys and they always do their best to put on a show anyway, so I'm confident we will have something to enjoy. And of course, wet conditions, it's all about getting off the start. So they line up on the grid. A little bit of things happening on the formation there. So Ryan Sam will take that final slot, and then we will rock up to the front of the grid to see exactly who gets the better launch off the start. So Ryan Sam gets into a slot, we'll go to Nick. Let's go for a better view of that. Please game, come on, don't do that. I'm going to have to go on board as we get 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and the OTL Belgian Grand Prix is away, and there we go, we get a better view, and that's a cracking start further back there from ENTXJ in the Alfa Romeo, but pretty even between our front two. Con's not going to take any chances, although he is in that inside line from Matoman, the tyre line round, and somebody's went round there. SPW's dropped the car straight away off the start, round turn 1, and round he goes, so he's going to fall all the way to the back of the grid, as we've got Nick from Chubby Slug, Nude Potato P3, Nelly up to P4, Corner Kid P5. He is all over the back of Nelly, even a little bit of contact here as we have Mike now going through on Matty. Rob seems to get a nice clean start, and let's go to position changes actually, and we'll get a good idea. So Rob Wills has gained ENTXG up 4, F Lewis managed to gain 7 positions off the start, and look at this, he's all the way up to P11 already. Dixie managed to find a position as well, Mix as he was there, and Nude Potato is now round, and there's a bit of a gaggle of cars here now as we see F Lewis trying to work his way through. Will stay on board as he tries to go round the long way against Kristaps. Rob Wills is there as well, Scarman, Kristaps now side by side, Rob Wills, and what's happened there ahead, Matty and ENTXG I think made a bit of contact. Will go further up the grid as the front 5 drivers seem to break away now, although Nick seemed to lost a bit of time actually. Chubby Slug, what's happened to Nick? Chubby Slug has gained 1.1 seconds, and Nick's lost out that lead position at the moment. So our front 5 begin to check out. ENTXJ has got a bit of a train behind him as Rob Wills is going round the long way at the second chicane against Matty as well. There's still a tremendous amount of cars fighting side by side as there. Kristaps tries to go up beside Scarman. Now they'll run too wide as they come out, and in the wet this is absolute bonkers racing. As soon as that sneaking up the inside, F Lewis, he's on full charge, a bit of wheel banging there, but that's just how it goes as you run side by side, and Scum on that tyre line has to get out of it, but F Lewis is able to maintain the pace and needs to get out of there very, very close. People not quite sure what line they need to pick to get in there as somebody tries to go to the line, and there's some contact between Skarma and F Lewis as Dixie now gets himself up to P10. He's up 5 positions as Rob Wills is getting absolutely stormed by people. Look at that as we go on board with Rob, Rage, Mick and Dixie all go through. Dixie now up to P9, and who's this we've got coming up the inside? It's Nude Potato making some ground back. He's now going to go wheel to wheel with Mick here, and then we're going to see a move up Eau Rouge. Conno has got some tremendous traction there off the first corner, and he will get through. Let's go further up. We've got Rage now on the back of Dixie. Rage managed to gain 7 positions so far, but look at F Lewis, he's came from the back of the grid, or P19, he's up to P7, and hopefully now our grid should start to settle down. Wow, what a start. That was absolutely bonkers. So finally the race settles down a bit, although Con all over the back of Rage at the moment. But Rage proving a very, very hard man to overtake in a straight line. Can Rage now get the run on Dixie? Of course, their teammates today. And could they be running similar setups, I wonder, as Dixie goes a little bit wider, and is that a trigger being pulled there by the team as Rage has a little bit of an oversteer moment? Let's go to Mike though, he's all over the back of Connor. Can Mike get the run up the straight here? He seems to be gaining pretty well in Connor, but Connor looks to have some good straight line speed in that Alpha Tauri car, and he's not going to be able to get close enough to make the move there, although Mike's put him into a defensive line. So maybe Mike can capitalise. Not this time around, although he does get to 10th and a half, and he goes down the inside on Connor there. I flicked to the wrong person, and I think Mike, has he got through? Not quite yet. Connor is still there, they're still side by side, and Mike now gets the job done, and Connor is now ENTXJ behind. Let's go back to Dixie, who's been overtaken by Nude Potato now as well. And here goes Rage on Skarma, so Rage gets through and Skarma down to P9. And Nick now managed to get into the lead of the race and put a bit of gap on Mato Man at the moment. Can Mike get the run on Nelly now? We don't see these battles too often now, as Mike has a huge moment while still setting the fastest lap of the race. So Mike finds some good pace at the moment. Uh-oh. Not a good race this evening then for the young man. Oh no. What happened, Jim? So Mike now making gains in the earlier. We're going to see a move here round the long way, turn 3. Oh, yikes. Oh, ouch. Such a nice track, 2 minutes drive, but yeah, in the rain it's not so fun. Did he finish, or DNF? How did Jensen get on? Oh no, he's F2, right? I think Jensen's F1. Which shows Cameron's definitely ready for F1 because he competes against Jensen every Wednesday night here, right? So Jensen's a very good benchmark to set. I think if you can beat Jensen, you can beat any of the big boys. Second nature. As Nick now picks up his first time penalty. Oh, Tom first, nice. Like to see our boys doing well, that's good to see. So a little bit of a train forming behind Matoman. Mike all over the back of Nelly here. Is he going to be able to mount any form of a challenge? Because the energy is just so hard in the wet. You could really do with the DRS. And maybe that's what a lot of the drivers felt on Sunday there as well. On another note, Jim, do you watch touring cars? As Mike goes for a big move at bus stop chicane into the inside. Nelly very respectfully leaves the space there, so Mike will go for the long way round, but he will get squeezed out there. He's never going to get the space in the second phase there, and has to get out it yet again as he picks up the traction. Because off track, you're just never going to get it there. ENTXJ arrived in this fight as well. As Mike picks up his first time penalty of the race, so that's an interesting one now for Mike, as he's again trying to make gains on Nelly, but very, very hard to get anything done in the rain. Could we see another move on the brakes? Not quite this time around. And Mike just using his wits here. He's trying to unsight the drivers, and you really need to try and push them out of position if you really want to capitalise on a move. As Dixie and Rob here go side by side through the first couple of corners. Good bit of racing here between the McLaren and the Mercedes, man, as a Ferrari now decides to stick his nose up for a look. 13th for Cameron. Off a bad strategy, I think. Was he there though, Jim? Was he still like in the train? I know it's very trainy, the PSGL races. Yeah. Was he still in the train even though he got his strategy screwed and then just kind of got stuck again because of the bad strat? Because if that's the case, it's not too bad, right? We can always tell, always try and look for the positives even in a crap situation. I think that's how I can crash so much and keep coming back. Down the inside, round the outside, Nelly and ENTXJ doing a bit of wheel to wheel, and ENTXJ used his brain there because the outside line or the racing line into bus stop gives you the inside or apex line for turn 2. We're going to see Nelly though come again into turn 1, and that's going to be a fair move there, and they'll go side by side now on the run down to Eau Rouge and Radion. Now somebody in the wet here may need to back out this, although ENTXJ I think uses a little bit of energy to get ahead. And we have some pit stoppers now. What's happened to Matoman? Oh, intermediate tyre coming into play, is it? Interesting stuff, so it'll be interesting to see how much Matoman gains, or if he can gain any. Ah, that's unfortunate, man. Hard tyre, your boy likes a hard tyre. I can never make that tyre work in this game. Respect any man that can. So SPW, after his early excursion, making some gains back. He's back up in touching distance of the top 10, which is very good. As we have somebody having a moment at bus stop, I think that could be Fingers. Let's see, anybody else went to the tyre, and you see Mataman here just get much more pace on that intermediate, and through he goes on Mick. And yeah, I would say to me that the intermediate tyre is definitely the tyre to be on now. So let's see Nick or Mike now at the front of the queue, because Nick did take a pit stop and Nick lost a bit of time, so I'm not sure. Are we going to see Mike go into the pits for the intermediate compound? As he snatches a big inside lock-up into the pits he goes, as does ENTXJ and Connor, and look at the line they all take. Nelly going to go for another lap on the wets. So interesting stuff here. Now, if the rain is going off, can you hang the wet out until it's dry enough to go straight to slicks? I doubt it. It's very, very rare that ever happens. As we see wheel spin of a bucket, F. Lewis have a bucket load of wheel spin, and now our top 3 of the race is Kristaps, F. Lewis, and can we just appreciate the undercut that Mataman has been able to trigger there? And where is Nick? Mike has got the jump on Nick now onto the intermediate compound, so Mike seems to have got it just at the right time. And here comes Mataman and Kristaps. They'll go wheel to wheel up the straight. Mataman will need to use a bit of energy, but on that tyre, I don't think Kristaps can do much here. Mataman will go round the long way, and you just see the superior grip come through as Nick and Mike do some wheel-to-wheel stuff. And these are the only battles at the moment, and Kristaps still been able to keep himself somewhat in the fight, but I think Nelly and F. Lewis here are really starting to suffer going that extra lap on these tyres, because that intermediate compound has brought Mataman way, way ahead of them. we have a yellow flag. Sector 3, it's Fingers again having a moment. I think he's going into the pits. As Mike and Nick do some more racing, and Nick now gets through. The two men with penalties, and ENTXJ right on the back of Mike as well here. So I don't know what's going on with Mike, because ENTXJ fancies a little bit of this. He's going to try and go the long way bus stop, although Mike's very, very good on the brakes here. And still gets the car pulled up to the apex. So ENTXJ will have to try something a little different. Corner Kid looking to get involved as well. As I was going to say, Mataman sets the fastest lap of the race, but it was not. It was Nick, and the last of our wet runners get into the pits. They will go into the intermediate compound, and we will continue on. So Mataman will lead the race. He's 1.3 seconds ahead. So a nice 20% advantage on energy to Nick as well. So Mataman in a good little position just now, and believe it or not, he's the man without the penalty. People will be shocked very much to hear that, but Mike's going to come under pressure again. ENTXJ got some tremendous straight line speed in the car here. Through he goes. Can he work it round the long way? He snatches a little inside lockup, but he's going to make that one work, and I think Mike will need to accept defeat for that corner and tuck back in behind. The ENTXJ will now defend the inside line, and Mike will try and go round the long way, and the boys are making the most of it on the intermediate compound, and they are trying to do some racing. Connor Kidd now thinks about getting himself on the outside of Mike, as Mike now gets a good run as they head down towards the hill, towards Puyon. Mike looking punchy, and I don't know, he seems to be enjoying himself at the moment. Will he be enjoying the fact he's in a bit of a tussle? I'm not so sure, but it's a good battle. ENTXJ, I know personally, he's a man that will make you work hard for your position, and he's very clean while going about it. Further back, Nude Potato gaining on F. Lewis. So F. Lewis came out in P7 off his wet compound. That's not too bad, actually. Nearly just a second or so behind. So Nick starting to gain on Mataman. He's almost got himself within a second. Of course, no DRS because it's wet conditions. So it's got to be done on track as they trade blows in fastest lap, or two men up front. And I don't think Mataman will stress too much. I mean, no, the penalty's there, so he just needs to kind of stay with Nick. I'm pretty sure the intermediate compound will go to the end of the race from here. And now Mataman picks up his first time penalty of the race, so any late drama, ENTXJ is in a very good position to win this race. I see he's still being hunted down by Mike, but Mike not been able to find his way through. Little bit of a wobble there for Con. Excuse me guys, my kiddies cause me some little hassles when I'm racing, so the quiet spots are full up. I do apologise. But Mike's still not able to find his way through on ENTXJ, though ENTXJ goes a little bit wide here, so this might give Mike the opportunity now to have the long outside line. And here we go, this is some racing you don't normally see while they go round the long way. It's a tricky old place to get the job done, but he gets on the energy nice and early. Now it's a drag race as we head up towards Blanchimon. Who's going to get the better run? And ENTXJ straight line speed is bonkers in that car. Mike now up the inside, can he get the job done? He'll go round the long way now at the last chicane. ENTXJ leaving space, but the traction is just better out the corner at the moment, and Mike not able to get the job done. Dixie now picks up his first time penalty as Nick is all over the back of Matt here as we head into Eau Rouge and Radion. Will this be a change for the lead of the race? Don't think he's got the legs to make any gains here. And Mike way down in energy, so he's having to work hard for this, is young Michael. And we've got a yellow flag in sector 1, I think. That is just Fingers letting the traffic through. Good man, Green Fingers doesn't want to get involved in any fights. Big respect, but this is the battle at the moment. The Mr. Rage, F. Lewis, Nude Potato. So we'll just stay with this just now. See how Mr. Rage is getting on. He is slowly trickling down that gap, although it's stalled a little bit. That's just going to be the toe effect, because Mike and Connor are that close to each other. Good evening everybody that's joining us. So let's go to Mike. Here he is trying to make a gain on ENTXJ. I don't think he'll be able to get close enough though to make the move down into bus stop chicane. Nude Potato, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near F. Lewis either. Will we see Kristaps make any gain on Pedro? ENTXJ now sitting the fastest lap of the race, a 55.3. He's 3.2 seconds behind that lead duo, and if he can keep sitting they kind of lap times and bring that gap down, Mike and Jay could be on that lead fight in a few laps time. Halfway point of the race. Chubby Slug leads the way. But Nick making big gains here. Let's go on board as they'll go side by side up into the first corner, and Nick, I think, gets through, although Chubby Slug is, I don't know what's happened there, maybe he just got right out it. Is Nick going to, not quite sure what happened at all, but Nick gets the position. Oh, as Nick has a big moment of oversteer as we watch on board from Matt. So very, very cautious there. You need to be careful there, Matt. You got there too much, you get a penalty. And Mike now getting another run in ENTXJ as they come to Puyon for the 11th time of the race. And Mike gives me the fear when he hits that inside curb. I'm so worried he's going to drop the car. But not this time. Mr. Rage now really starting to make gains. He's got that gap down to 1.2 seconds to Connor Kidd. And Mr. Rage coming to get involved. As him and Jay are the biggest gainers, F. Lewis as well. These guys having a tremendous race so far. And Mike and Jay again going meet with wheels. We watched from Connor Kidd there as they nearly collect each other there in the hairpin as Mike has a big moment. And now Connor Kidd I think is going to be able to get the run, although Mike in that higher line. And fastest laps coming in everywhere. So is the track starting to dry up even more? Could we get to dry conditions before the end of this race? That would be very, very interesting. As a couple of penalties fall in there for SPW and I think F. Lewis also. So ENTXJ got the gap down to 2.1 seconds. He's looking very comfortable at the moment. It's Nude Potato and F. Lewis go racing. F. Lewis, maybe he had a moment up Eau Rouge because that was a big gap gained for Nude Potato at the top of the Kemmel Straight. Connor Kidd now all over the back of Mike and Rage coming to get involved in this fight as well. So the battle for P4 is alive and well. ENTXJ has got himself inside the P2 position. Oh, and is F. Lewis round? No, what's happened to F. Lewis? He should get back on track. He's still going to be in P9. So that shows you how much gain Ethan had managed to make in the race, because he's had a big moment there and still coming out 10 positions up from his starting position. Oh, and he needs to be careful, and he's had a big moment there. Oh, and he goes very, very wide, and he's just got to keep it out of the wall. Can he drag that Alfa Romeo to the pits? He's got a big queue of traffic coming up, though. He is trying his best just to stay out of the way, and that is horrendous from the game. Why the hell is he gave him that penalty? So F. Lewis, if you are listening and you continue to the end after your box, mate, please report that 10-second time penalty. You will get that removed. There was absolutely nothing wrong with what you done there at all. Now Mr. Rage. Can Rage challenge up inside the top 4? And F. Lewis just has enough. He's going to retire in the pits. That's a shame for Ethan there. The game shafted him with that penalty. Was hurtful. You did not deserve that 10 seconds if you're watching, Ethan. You've seen the queue of traffic coming, so you stay out of the way, and then the game gives you a penalty. That's rough, man. So Mike's still stuck behind the ENTXJ. It's a big moment of oversteer there. So we have 8 laps to go, or 7 laps to go. No. 9 laps to go, I can't count. Nick leads away, he's 2.2 seconds ahead. I think he only has the 1 penalty. He does. Mike, Chubby and Nick all only have the 3-second time penalties. We've got Connor Kidd in P5, but Mike's still pushing on. He's trying so hard to get a move done on Jay, but Jay's straight line speed in that Alfa Romeo is absolutely bonkers. Who's that that's had a moment? Who's had a moment there? We've got a full course safety car. What is that for? Somebody's had a big moment there. It was an Alfa on, was it? I think it was Nelly. It was. Nelly's had a moment. He's lost his wing in the... And he... What? No, why is ENTXJ just been disqualified from the session? No. And Matty picks up a drive. Oh, we're going to have some big change at this race here. So big change coming in. Mike goes into the pits. What the hell has happened there? Jay, clip that, mate. You are watching. Clip that. And I can assure you, and I don't think anybody could complain, that we will get you the points you rightfully deserve from this race, mate. I have no idea why the game has just disqualified you from the race. That is, oh wow. That is one of the worst things I've seen. So safety car out on lap 14. Nick's lead, he had gained, wiped out. Mr. Rage now in line to win this race. Nude Potato in P4. Mike P5, but Jay has just had the win stolen from him. Because Jay's pace was good. He was racing on par, if not a little bit faster than the lead group. And that gap just gets wiped out. Yeah, no, mate, it's ridiculous. I totally agree, mate. You've been robbed. Absolutely robbed. And as I say, clip it, please, because we will definitely do something, mate. There is no way you can walk away from this race pointless for that. That would be horrendous. Because you're probably staring a win now, right? You come out and... although you did pit. That would have been interesting, but either way, mate, you've been robbed, so we'll work something out 100%, because that is shocking what the game's done there. So Nick leads the way, Chubby Slug P2, Rage now in P3, Nude Potato 4, Mike P5, Connor Kid 6, Skarma 7, Dixie P8, Mick P9, Chris Taps 10, Rob Wells 11, Nelly P12, Shiv 13, Pedro 14, SBW 15, Ryan Sam P16, Matty P17, Fingers P18, Matty of course got that drive-through penalty. So I think we'll have a couple of laps of safety car. Bear with me, please, chat. Ah, yeah, Jay, you were racing. That's probably the best I've seen you in a while. You look competitive enough to go win the race, so yeah, I feel for you there, very much so, mate. Bear with me, chat. So I'm back, guys. 7 laps to go. Safety car, of course, out. So anybody with a penalty feels very, very hard done by at the moment. And of course, on the restart, you need to be very, very careful, because getting these intermediate tyres fired back up is a hard effort. Jay, please make sure you put that clip in. That's for... yeah. I don't get it, mate. So will we get the call for safety car in this lap? Yes, we will. So we're going to have 6 laps of racing once we get across the line and back to green flags. Nick sets the pace now. So the guys, just be nice and careful here. Not wanting to pick up too much of a gap. So Nick's going to get going straight off that last chicane, and on Chubby Slugs went round straight away, round he goes. And that's going to be massively impactful for the race. He falls all the way back down the order. He's just lit up their rear tyres on the restart, and detrimental circumstance conclusions for that for Matt, because he is all the way down the order now in at P10 as Mike gets himself up to P3 in the grid, but of course he has that time penalty. Mr. Rage without a pick, and now Nude Potato picks up a time penalty, so Mr. Rage, if he can close in on Nick, he can most definitely win this race. 6 laps to go. What's happening further down the grid? We've got Chubby Slug all over the back of Kristaps as he pulls to the inside line. He's all in the energy. It's a big recovery mission now for Mataman, but Kristaps is going to hold it round the long way, so Mataman will need to make this work. Can he get it now on the inside line? They'll do a little bit of wheelbagging, but through he goes, and now Nelly will capitalise, and Kristaps been pushed out a little bit wide, although Kristaps is not going away without a fight, but that outside line is just far less superior on grip, so through he goes, and now Mike is all over the back of Mr. Rage. Mr. Rage, though, is gaining up to Nick, so this race is on. Mr. Rage just needs to not stress too much. He's got 1 penalty ahead of him, 2 penalties behind him, so he just needs to not make any mistakes, and he will get a very, very strong result this evening. Can he finish ahead of Mike? I think that's pretty much a given, as long as he doesn't pick up a penalty. He will make some gains back in the championship. So is Mike going to make a move into bus stop? It's very late there. not quite able to get the job done. Big double lock up into the last corner to try and get that one done as well, and Mr. Rage scampers away because Mike is out of deploy there at the line. Can Nude Potato make any gains? What's happening with Chubby Slug and Mick here? Matoman making some gains again. It's interesting to see just how much Matoman's able to recover. Dixie now up to P7, Skarma P6. I think Skarma will be very pleased if he can bring home a P6 this evening. So here comes Con against Mike, and Con gets some good straight line speed in that Red Bull as well. He is gaining and gaining on Mike. Is he going to make a move into turn 4? He cannot this time around, and Mr. Ray's just doing what he needs to do is to stay in front of Mike at the moment. Can he close down Nick? I am not so sure. Nick get that gap out to 2.7 seconds. The Chubby Slug has got through and Mick at some point there. Not quite sure when that one happened. And now up next for Chubby Slug is Dixie, and Dixie will make his life a living hell, I'm absolutely sure of it. So, who is this? This is Connor Kid having a very, very good race, of course, penaltyless as well. So Mike and Nude Potato are battling for the podium as Connor's post as a reserve, so but Connor just gets bragging rights. He likes to just turn up, lay out an ass beating and then leave. I respect it. And he'd be a very good addition to OTL. He's very, very competitive. Adam's going to cover Matoman off into bus stop. And they will get close to each other, but Dixie gets a good exit. Matoman gets on the energy, as does Adam, and we've got a yellow flag just behind them. Adam again covering that inside line, but that's going to make him go a little bit wide. Oh, and Matoman, oh. And that is probably going to be a safety car. Will it be a safety car? I'm not sure actually. So that ended tremendously. I'd love to be a fly in that party right now to hear exactly what Adam is saying to Matoman. And Mr. Rage and Mike doing a little bit of wheel-to-wheel racing. Rage holding the inside at Blanchimon, but he's going to give Mike space, and Mike's going to try and go around the long way, and here we go, some good racing and wheel to wheel going on eventually in the race. Rage will now hold it. Matt's fault, too impatient. I mean, yeah, I struggle to see as Mike gets the squeeze on a little bit and gets through on Mr. Rage, but Mr. Rage, can he come back at him? The gap now 4.4 seconds to Nick, so I think that one is all over. But look at the gains, look at the straight line speed on Rage's car. He physically had to get out of the throttle there. Is Mike low on the energy? I think he may be in his Rage going to try and make a move. Mike's going to cover that off. There's a little bit of contact as they all shoot a little bit deep on the brakes, and now Nude Potato and Connor Kid's getting involved in this. Mike goes to that higher line, as does Con, and now we head into turn 1. Not quite, nobody close enough to really make a move on the brakes, but there's battle for P2 as well and truly on in this race, and it's turning into quite an entertaining little fight. So Mike, can he make any gain on Mr. Rage? Can he make any gain on Mike? Does he want it in track position? You see the gap's 4.8, so does he need to fight it too much? Possibly not, but I know Rage, and I know he's probably going to want to beat Mike on track, and here he comes making gains here. He'll go to the racing line at the top of Kemmel Straight. Can he go round the long way? A little bit of wheel banging there, but that's fine and fair enough. And again there, Rage just getting a little bit understeer off the curb, and Mike's able to retain that position for now. And getting it very, very close to each other there indeed. And we have a yellow flag. What is that? I think that's Fingers having a bit of a moment. I think it is. So Mike being able to scamper away a little bit from Mr. Rage at the moment, but of course not enough for now. But look at this, Nude Potato and Corner Kid all over the back of each other as well. Is Corner Kid going to be able to mount any form of a run on Nude Potato up this back straight? Green Fingers gets a 5-second time penalty for Corner Kid. I think that's again him trying to get out of the way. And Corner Kid looks for the move into the hairpin but cannot go deep enough on the brakes, as we see the Potato rattle that inside curb at Buster. And they continue on down to 3 laps to go. And Mr. Rage just fell away a little bit from Mike. But of course he has that 3 seconds to gain on Mike with the penalty, but Mike will be trying to push on, I am sure. So Con gets a good run now through the chicane at the top of the hill. And the rain's subsiding substantially, but I don't think it's ever going to get to dry conditions. So coming down to a couple of laps to go, Nick absolutely chilling out front. He's got the gap up to 4.4 seconds. He's only a couple of tenths off his PBs on that intermediate compound, so he's having a very good race. Nelly picks up another time, or his first time penalty actually, for multiple warnings. So Skarma looking pretty safe for that P6 position now, as Nick takes us on to lap 21 and brings us down to 2 to go. And this Corner Kid, Mike and Mr. Rage and Nude Potato battle continues on. SPW now getting through on Chubby Slug. Mataman never put up much of a fight, but I think he's about to come back at SPW now. So can he go round the long way at turn 1? Not able to get that move done there. It's tricky in the dry, let alone in the wet conditions. As Mataman now picks up another time penalty for multiple warnings, so SPW is covered off that position from Matt, getting him into that other penalty. Can Nelly make the gain on Skarma to close that gap down? So it's been a long old 21 laps. As I did say pre-race, it was going to be a tricky old race to get a lot of entertaining stuff. Guys tried to do some racing, but it's never easy at Spa. And Nick's going to take us on to the last lap as Shiv retires, but we will not get a safety car now. We will race to the checker flag as Nick sets the fastest lap of the race onto the last lap of the race. He's in a very good place at the moment. And Rage now just needs to stay, he needs to not lose a second, as the track is almost went to bone dry conditions. Is there even any more spray? So these intermediate tyres are going to be absolute hell. A little bit, so that was interesting. So it's dry at one part of the track but wet on other parts. That seems new. Never really noticed that before in the game. And Nelly will get through on Scammer. They'll have a bit of a drag race up to turn 4, but I think Nelly will have that one secure. He's able to get back in front for the braking zone. Mr. Rage being able to keep himself within that penalty zone as Nick heads down towards Puyon for the last time. And he has drove very, very well today. And starting to show that he can put up a good fight in OTL is Mr. Nick. And I think he will enjoy bringing this one home. Because tricky conditions, the tyres looking a little bit warm. But Nick has been utterly faultless. Apart from that one penalty, he's not really put a foot wrong. His corner there nearly smacks the wall as we get on board. Rage is just about going to keep himself inside that penalty window by a few tenths of a second, so I think Rage is going to get P2, but Nick comes out of the bus stop chicane. He's going to bring home the checker flag and win in Belgium. Nick wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Mike is going to take the checker flag at P2, but not enough time to get the gap. Rage gets promoted to P2. It's Mike P3, Nude Potato 4. Connor Kid comes home in P5. Nelly will get P6. A solid result for Skarma today. He'll come home in P7. SPW able to get himself back to P8, Chubby Slug P9. Mick will get up to P8 though. Rob Wills will get P9. SPW down to 10, Chubby Slug down to 11. Kristaps 12, Ryan Sam 13, Pedro B14, and Mato, after that drive through that really impacted his race, he's down in P15. So I'll wait actually to get the screen up and then we will have a chat. Mr. Rage getting the driver of the day. He did drive very well, not taking part in quality to the grid. I think that is a no-brainer. And I'll get Jensen the screen and then we will get the guys in for a quick chat. So, Nick wins in Belgium, Mr. Rage P2, Mike P3, Nude Potato 4, Connor Kid P5, Nelly P6, Skarma P7, Mick P8. Rob Wells P9 and SPW rounds out the top 10 for round 15. It was a wet and miserable one, but the guys made the most of it as much as they could, and we will get them in now for a little chat. So we need to get Mike and Mr. Rage and Mr. Nick. Good job to everybody. It looked a semi-decent one. Good evening, Mr. Mike. You're the first one here, Mike, so we'll just start with you. We'll go third to first. You started... Oh. Oh, right, okay. I will give you the minute. So, P8 start. Was that just... Were you on a wet setup, first and foremost?
Yeah, I think you could tell. I was watching the stream. I had so much downforce on compared to everyone else.
So that would just be the kind of weird feeling and kind of out of position in quali, just different?
No, like I don't even mind starting P8. It's just impossible to overtake, like, just
yeah, once you get into the especially in the conditions.
Yeah.
But still, you get P3. The penalty could have been P2 if you take the penalty away, but so much understeer happening on track that almost every day get one penalty. I think that was always going to be the way. Especially when you get tucked up tight behind somebody, and there was some good racing. You did try, Mike, to do some wheel to wheel. There was some good racing here and there,
just
but
a quick question. Rage has 3 warnings and didn't get a penalty.
Oh.
I'm sorry, what?
You have 3 warnings on the game. Lap 1, lap 4, and lap 8. Or lap 9, sorry.
Lap 1, it never popped up. I literally go through my I can't go through.
It
the
might
race
be a
director,
contact
but-
one. It might be contact.
Oh, that is very true, mate, the worst track limits, because it does just thing me. But anyway, Mike, still
Yeah, it
P3,
is contact.
not really a big loss in the championship. Might
Mhm.
Rage is ahead of you, but still, the gap is very big up front.
Mhm.
And in miserable conditions, P8 to P3 is not too bad.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one. There was some good racing with Rage. Was one for I don't know how many laps it was. 3 laps. We were kind of
Yeah, I think
side
so.
by side for like most of the lap. Yeah, it was fun. It's just frustrating. I would have chucked on a lot less downforce compared to what I did if I had known what pain was about to come around the corner. But like, I just didn't have. I had so much pace and clear air, but then as soon as anyone was within 5/10, they were guaranteed to get past me on the straight, and it was just so frustrating.
See, at the end of the race as well, Mike, coming up the back straight towards Blanchimont and that, it looked very, very dry. But then when drivers went through Eau Rouge and Radion, there was a lot of spray. Was that what it was like? Did you have dry and wet parts of the track coming near the end there?
I'd say like there was probably more grip in the first 2 sectors, but like nothing major. Like it wasn't a Codemaster's breakthrough, I don't think.
Because it was
Letting
very
go.
visible, like at some point there was no spray and then the car hit big damp patches and chucked up a lot of spray and then it settled again. I was rather impressed by that. I was like, oh, that seems new.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I thought it would dry up near the end. It didn't, but yeah.
So not even close to dry tyres, not even a
I'd
thought.
say a lap or 2 probably out,
Still a few out.
which is about 4 minutes if you think about Spa, so
Yeah.
it's not. It's but anyway, yeah, GG Tourage and Nick obviously P1.
That's it. Very good job to you though, Mike. P3. You keep the gap at the top rather large and making it very difficult for them to close it down, but I am sure people will try.
Yes, I'm sure they will.
Mr. Rage,
Yes.
P2 from no qualifying at all. The game's driver of the day, my driver of the day, by a good distance. You've got to feel good after that one. Kept the penalties down as well.
Yes. Shitting myself. Oh, apologies. Apologies. Bricking myself when I got that second warning, but it was a bit sus. That second part of at the top of Radion, I was not cutting it, and it was giving me a warning, so I just stayed away from it for like a good. I had to stay away from it. What, 14 laps?
Oh wow.
So, yeah, but no. After that, the first 2 laps where no one was catching me on the Kenmore straight or the back straight, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. So, but yeah, no, it was enjoyable. And
Yeah, there was a
GG
couple
on-
of guys where there was some crazy straight line speed in this car. Mike had a hell of a time trying to get anything done against Jay. For the majority of the time I was behind him.
He had trouble with me as well.
Everyone, man, it was a disgrace.
No, but that one lap where we were going side by side, that
How
was
long
just
were we side by side for? Oh my god.
all
it
the
was
way
like-
up to end of sector 2.
Yeah.
It was
like that
probably
was
as good as
crazy.
any wet race will get, I would say.
No, it can get better, trust me.
It can get better, yeah.
It can get better.
But
Still-
no,
P2 Rage, gains on Mike, gains on Con also, so I think the gap was like 9 or 11 points. I think you will close that after tonight.
yeah, and Con, after that spin, he just kept with me and kept using me to get through people. I was just stop following me.
But happy with your performance, Rage?
Definitely, considering my last 3 races.
Yeah. And get some momentum now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Put the
Into the
rut
sprint
behind
race.
you.
I gotta get a double win at Imola. Imola, Monza.
I like the confidence. So very good job today, sir. As I already said, you are my driver of the day this evening. It was pretty clear. So very good stuff, and a very, very well driven P2.
Thank you.
Mr. Nick,
Yes, same mate.
good evening. Am I right in saying this is back to back?
No, last week I had a very bad one.
Was it the week before that you won?
Nope.
Yeah, a week before that I won, I think.
Huh?
Or some,
Yes. Yeah, I
no,
remember talking to you very recently, Nick.
I won Zandvoort.
Maybe it was realistic.
maybe, yeah, it was realistic, that's it, yeah.
Maybe
Sorry.
it was realistic. So it's back to back in that terms, right? Because you won on Thursday.
No,
Oh no, that was
Thursday, I
last
think second
Thursday.
as well.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, you won tonight, Nick. That's the main thing,
Yeah.
and you look very good tonight.
Yeah.
You got the gap, and then it was quite hard to catch. You had a good little battle with Mataman early.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a good little battle with Matthew at the start. Didn't realise that I had damage from the battle, so the whole first stint, I just thought it was general understeer, and then when I went for the box, they changed my wing, and yeah, it was not too bad, but it was very sketchy at the start. I was running like 6-3 wings, so just stuck with a dry setup, and I got my penalties basically just testing the limits, but I knew that I had some pace, so I could take those risks, but if there was a safety car then it would all go away, so just tried to make sure that I didn't go too over the limit.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to say so. I just sat in silence there. That's my bad, Nick. I thought you were still continuing.
Beautiful.
So, you choose to just run the dry setup. I know Rage was running what you would call a kind of hybrid. It was kind of in between. Mike obviously flung a load of wing in the car. Do you think you went the right route then on the full dry setup?
For me personally, yeah, it did work out. The only thing that I struggled with was when it was starting to dry at the end. My tires were just overheating like mad, so you could see that Mike was catching up.
Yeah.
I think so, and he was saying fastest lap. I couldn't match those times. My fronts were like 90 to 100 degrees at the exit of sector 2, so that's like the only issue I had. Other than that, I think it was the right decision. So yeah, not too bad. It just allowed me to get back at people if they overtook, and it helped me defensively, so yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, so as I say, Nick, I say this quite often about yourself. I've always known you've got the ability to compete, especially at the front of this grid, and cause a headache for the guys, and you're showing that.
Yeah, I try my best every week to try and make it hard for these guys. But yeah, sometimes it goes right, sometimes it goes wrong. So,
I know the feeling.
I mean, most of the time, I mean, I know that I can be pretty competitive, but also because I know that I'm not in the championship fight, sometimes I take more risks, and that just also means that sometimes I have really bad weeks, or sometimes I have really good weeks. And I mean, today it paid off taking massive risks all race, but yeah, it's not always the case. So,
well, at least you reaped your rewards this evening. As you say, you're not in not really in the championship fight, so winning races is just the best you can ask for the running in the season, and then if you were obviously continuing on, and it'll obviously be in a new game, it'll be very different, but next season you just need to whip other arses, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully next season I can make it hard for Mike and Rage and Con and Mikey, and try and make it hard for them next season.
So very good job today, Nick. A very, very well driven P1. Never looked in doubt once you got a stranglehold on that race. So very, very good job. And well done,
Thanks.
of course, to Rage for P2 and to Mike, our championship leader in P3. Join us again.
Did Rob finish the race? Does anyone know?
Rob, yes, P9.
Right.
So P9 for Rob, and how did the two Red Bulls get on? P4. Oh, that'll be interesting in the constructors. Mate, you took me off a train. But anyway, join us again on Wednesday for HWA again at Spa. Yuck. And
Yeah.
yeah, well done to Nick, to Rage, and to Mike.